Let your breathing become the waves, slow, rhythmic, endless. Now imagine a blue deeper than the sky, an ocean that stretches further than memory. This is the Pacific, not as an empty space, but as a sea road. A road written not in stone, but in star paths, wind songs, and the flight of birds. This is the story of the last great human migration. A story not of marching armies, but of sailing families. Not of conquering land, but of finding home in the world's largest wilderness. We will follow the people of the great canoes, the Polynesians. We will not rush. We will move at the speed of a paddled rhythm, under a blanket of stars so bright they drip light into the sea. We will listen for the whisper of an island not yet seen, feel the hope that is stronger than fear, and rest in the profound peace of a new lagoon at dawn. This is a story of courage woven from stillness, of navigating by the feel of swell against the hull, of trusting that the horizon holds not an end, but a beginning. Close your eyes. Feel the gentle rock of the canoe. Hear the lap of water on the outrigger. We are setting out not into the unknown, but into the knowing of the ancestors. We are going to find the island of voices. The story begins on a beach of black sand. The volcano behind us is a sleeping giant, breathing soft plumes of smoke into the morning sky. This island, Hawaii, is full. The valleys are lush, but the people are many. The whispers have begun. It is time to go. The canoe is not just a boat. It is a vessel of life. Its name is Te Matau Amada Yu, by the fishhook of Manda Yu Ai, the trickster god who pulled islands from the sea. Watch it being chosen. The master navigator, Tupaya, walks through the upland forest. He does not look for the tallest tree. He listens. He presses his ear to the trunks. He seeks the Kirakira, the ironwood. He finds it, a giant, straight, and silent. He lays his hands upon it and feels no vibration in the wind. It is steady. It has the stillness of the deep ocean within it. He makes an offering of red kura feathers and sings the karakia, the chant to ask the forest's permission. Only then is the first stone adze struck. Tok, tok. The sound is clean and sharp, echoing through the green silence. The tree gives itself, falling with a sigh that shakes the ground. The log is dragged to the sacred canoe yard by 100 hands. For a year, it is shaped. Fire is used to hollow it. Coral and water smooth it. The hull is born. Long, graceful, a slender needle meant to stitch the ocean together. It is more than wood. It is a pledge to the future. It holds the dreams of 40 souls, men, women, children, pigs, chickens, coconuts, taro shoots, and the sacred breadfruit sprout. It is an island, ready to sail in search of another island. Tupaya is teaching his grandson, Hero, the ocean's language. They sit on the reef at night. First, the stars, Tupaya whispers. They are not random. They are houses. That cluster is Matariki Pleiades, our guardian. That bright one is Terua Nui, Sirius, the great star of the east. They rise and set in the same doors each night. They are the roof of our great sea house. Hero looks up, and the sky becomes a map. Then the swell, Tupaya says. He places the boy's hand in the water. Feel, this long, deep roll comes from the southeast. It is the breath of the ocean. Even on a windless day, even with your eyes closed, this swell will tell you your direction. It is the oldest path. Hero feels the mighty, rhythmic push against his palm. Then, the birds. Tupaya points to a white tern dancing over the waves. The mana oke. It fishes by day, but at dusk it flies straight home to land. Its flight is an arrow pointing to an island you cannot see. Follow the birds at twilight, and they will lead you to rest. Finally, he cups sea water in his hand and lets it drip. The taste. Far from land, the rain is sweet. The sea has a different taste near a lagoon, where fresh water seeps from the island's heart. The clouds themselves have a shape of greenish glow under them, means shallow water, means land. To Hero, the terrifying, empty ocean is becoming a text, a living, breathing, star-lit text that his grandfather can read. The voyage is not a blind leap. It is a reading, a slow, patient reading of the world's oldest signs. The day of departure is not sad. It is Tapika sacred, heavy with purpose. The canoe is loaded. The sleeping house in the hull is lined with dried palm leaves. Water is stored in sealed bamboo tubes. The ulu breadfruit sprout is wrapped in damp moss. The families file aboard. They carry their most precious things, adze of basalt, a roll of beaten tapa cloth, a necklace of whale tooth. They carry the bones of their ancestors in a small carved box, so the old ones can find the new home too. On the beach there are no tears of despair. There are tears of connection. Those staying touch the hands of those going. They exchange shell bracelets. They press noses, the hangi, sharing the breath of life. Tupaya stands at the stern by the great steering paddle. He raises his hand. The drummers begin a deep, slow rhythm. Boom, 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 boom. The paddles dip into the turquoise lagoon in time. They pass the reef's opening. The deep ocean swell greets them, lifting the canoe with a gentle, mighty hand. The sails of woven pandanus are raised. They catch the steady trade wind, the breath of the gods, pushing them eastward into the rising sun. The homeland, Haveki, shrinks to a dark smudge on a vast blue horizon. Then it becomes a memory. Then it becomes a story. There is no looking back. All eyes are forward, where the sky meets the sea. They are not fleeing. They are following. Following the star path, the bird path, the swell path. They have cut the tether to the known world. Now there is only the canoe, the ocean, and the immense singing silence of the voyage. Day is for the sun and the birds, but night is for the true navigators. The first evening at sea, the world simplifies. The blue water turns to black ink. The sky, stripped of its familiar hills and trees, becomes a dome of cold, piercing fire. The canoe is a tiny, breathing speck between two infinities of stars. Tupaya does not sleep. He sits at the base of the mast, a tapa cloth over his shoulders. Hero sits with him, fighting drowsiness. Look, Tupaya's voice is barely a whisper, as if loud sound might scare the stars away. He points to the eastern horizon. See there? A star is being born. Hero watches. A pinprick of light he hadn't noticed before emerges from the blackness of the sea. It is not rising like the sun. It is simply appearing as if swimming up from the deep. That is Takarua, Tupaya says. The star that leads to the southeast. We keep her off our left side outrigger. She is our guide for this part of the journey. He teaches Hero the star compass. Not north, south, east, west, but the rising and setting points of specific named stars. The sky is a giant turning wheel, and each star is a spoke. To navigate is to know which spoke is rising, which is setting, and which is directly overhead at any given hour of the night. They watch the starry wheel turn. constellations they knew from home, the great fish hook of Mondi Ui, the long shark, the kneeling woman, they all rise, travel, and set in a predictable, comforting dance. The canoe is not moving through a random darkness. It is moving within a clock, a majestic, celestial clock that is ticked for all time. The only sounds are the hush-hush of water along the hull, the creak of the lashings, the soft sigh of a sleeper. Tupaya's knowledge is a warm ember in the vast, starry cold. He is reading the oldest book in the universe, one chapter at a time by starlight. Days blur into a rhythm of sun, wind, and water. The ocean is not featureless. It has moods. A patch of water, purple, blue, and oily smooth, means a deep, cold current. A line of frothing, choppy water signals where two great ocean rivers meet beneath the surface. On the 10th morning, Tupaya stands. He has been watching a single cloud on the far southeastern horizon. It has been there since dawn. While other clouds drift with the wind, this one does not move. He calls Hero. See the cloud that is a guest? The one that will not travel with its family? Hero squints. It is a small, puffy cloud, glowing white in the morning sun. That cloud is sitting, Tupaya says. It is sitting on the shoulder of an island. The island's warm breath holds it there. It is a cloud that stands still. Where there is a still cloud, there is land. A quiet energy passes through the canoe. People shade their eyes. Look, the cloud is so far away, it seems a dream. But Tupaya speaks to the steersman. Gently, the great paddle turns the canoe's head. The sail is adjusted. They are no longer sailing purely by the stars. They are now sailing toward a fixed point in the sky, a cloud that has found a home. All that day they sail toward it. The cloud does not come closer. It remains a distant, tantalizing marker. It is a promise. It teaches them patience. The ocean gives its signs slowly to those who know how to see. You do not rush a cloud. You trust it. The cloud is still there at dusk. As the last light fades, Tupaya points not at the sky, but at the water. Look for the bird that is late, he murmurs. They watch the terns and boobies that have been their companions all day. As the sun dips into the sea, the birds begin to stream away, in groups, in lines, their wings beating purposefully toward the southeast, toward the still cloud. They are going home to roost. But one bird, a brown noddy with a white cap, circles the canoe once, twice. It seems confused. It calls out a sharp Kirik. Kirik, he is late, Tupaya smiles. He has fished too long. Now he is in a hurry. Watch. The bird sets off, not in the general direction of the others, but on a straight, unwavering line. It flies low over the waves, as if pulled by a string, directly toward the heart of the horizon where the last light is dying. It does not waver. It does not circle. Its path is a single, desperate, perfect vector to land. They watch until the tiny speck vanishes into the gloom. That night, a new smell arrives on the wind. Not the clean, salty smell of the open ocean. A heavier, greener, wetter smell. A smell of damp earth, of rotting leaves, of flowers. The smell of land. No one speaks of it, but they all breathe it in, deep into their lungs. They smell it in their sleep. The cloud, the bird, the smell, they are threads, weaving together into a single, certain truth in the dark. Land is no longer a hope. It is a scent on the wind. It is a destination written in the frantic flight of a late bird. They are close. The ocean is beginning to whisper the last, most precious lines of its story. 2 more days they sail toward the smell. The cloud has dissolved, its work done. Now the ocean itself begins to speak in a new voice. At first it is a faint, distant rumble. Not like thunder, but deeper, more persistent, a continuous, low growl beneath the sigh of the wind. Tupaia orders the paddles stilled. The sail is lowered halfway. In the sudden quiet, they listen. It is the sound of the open ocean, the mightiest force on earth, meeting something immovable. It is the sound of a barrier reef. Tupaia climbs lightly on to the forward crossbeam, holding the mast. He sniffs the air like a seabird. He is not looking for land now. He is listening for the gap. The reef sings a different song where there is a pass, a lower, gulping sound as water is sucked through a channel into the lagoon. He points, silently, to the steersman. They paddle slowly, parallel to the invisible, roaring wall. The sound is terrifying and magnificent. It tells them land is not just near. It is protected. The island has built a fortress of coral around itself. Just as the sun touches the water, turning the sky to flame and indigo, Tupaia hears it, a break in the roar, a softer rushing sound, a pass. They wait for full dark. They cannot risk the reef and twilight's deceiving shadows. Under a sky now blazing with stars, they paddle gently toward the new sound. The roaring fades to a hiss on either side. The water beneath them changes from the black of the deep to a luminous, swirling phosphorescence. Every paddle stroke stirs a galaxy of cold, blue-green fire in the water. They are paddling through starlight spilled on the sea. They have crossed the threshold. The mighty ocean is behind them. Now they are in the lagoon. The lagoon is a mill pond. The water is so still it holds a perfect mirror image of the stars. The sound of the reef is now a soothing, distant hum, a lullaby after the open sea's symphony. They do not rush. They find a sandy patch in the lagoon, drop the stone anchor, and wait. The canoe rocks gently. For the first time in weeks, there is no need to steer, to watch, to navigate. They are cradled. Sleep comes, deep and dreamless, in the belly of the protected waters. Hero is the first to wake. A faint, pearly light is seeping into the sky. He looks east, toward the heart of the lagoon, and he sees it, a dark line, solid against the softening gray. Not a cloud, not a wave, a line with shape, with peaks, the silhouette of a mountain sleeping. He does not shout. His breath catches. He reaches over and touches Tupaia's arm. The old navigator opens his eyes. He sees the line. A slow, deep smile spreads across his weathered face, cracking the salt on his skin. He nods once. As the light grows, the island unveils itself. A high, green central peak, cloaked in mist. Lush, steep valleys running down to white beaches. A fringe of coconut palms, their fronds still against the morning sky. It is more beautiful than any story. No one speaks. They pick up their paddles. The final stroke. The canoe's hull kisses not water, but sand. A soft, grating whisper. The journey is over. Tupaia is the first to step off the canoe. He does not jump. He steps down slowly, reverently, into the knee-deep warm water of the lagoon. He wades ashore. The sand is white and fine. He stands still, letting the small waves wash over his feet, feeling the solid, unyielding earth beneath him. He bends and takes a handful of wet sand, lets it trickle through his fingers. Then he takes a dry handful and tastes it. Fresh, clean, no salt. He turns and nods. A sound breaks the silence then. Not a cheer, but a sob. A single, shuddering breath of release from a woman in the canoe. Then others are weeping, laughing, embracing. The tension of 1,000 miles, held so tightly for so long, melts away in the morning sun. They come ashore one by one. Each person performs a small, private ritual. A man kneels and presses his forehead to the sand. A woman unwraps the breadfruit sprout and holds its leaves up to the sun. A child simply runs, laughing in a wide, giddy circle, feeling the ground that does not move. Hero helps pull the canoe fully onto the beach. He sees his grandfather walk a little way up the beach to where a stream of fresh water meets the sea. Tupaia kneels, cups his hands, and drinks. He drinks for a long time. Then he splashes the water over his face, his head, his chest, a baptism. He looks back at his people, at the canoe on the new shore, at the green mountain behind him. His eyes are bright. He has done it. He has read the ocean's book to its last page. He has delivered the promise. The star path has led to a beach. The cloud that stood still was true. The bird that was late showed the way. They are home. Not the home they left, but the home they were meant to find. A new verse in the great song of the Pacific. The island of voices has its first trembling, joyful breath. A place is not a home until it has a name. A name is a story whispered to the land, an agreement between people and place. They gather in a half circle on the beach, the canoe at their backs like a great beached whale. Tupaia speaks, his voice soft but carrying on the still morning air. We have followed the fishhook of Mon-Dui, he begins. And here the hook has caught an island. We will not call it new land, that is a stranger's word. We will listen, and it will tell us its name. For 3 days they do not build, they listen. They walk the fringes of the forest. They taste the fruits. They watch where the sun rises over the mountain's shoulder. On the evening of the 3rd day, a young woman named Mona is filling water gourds at the stream. As she kneels, she sees a small, bright green gecko on a wet stone. It does not flee. It cocks its head, its throat pulsing. Then it makes a sound, a clear, chirping toki-toki-toki. Mona returns to camp. The spirit of the stream, she says. It speaks. It says toki-toki-toki. Tupaia nods. He walks to the stream at dusk. He hears it not just the gecko, but the sound of the water over the stones. K-O. Y, K-O, Y. In their tongue, K-O-Y means who are you? And also fresh water. The next morning, a hunter returns from the forest's edge. He speaks of a tall, straight tree with bark the color of sunset, whose leaves make a soft, sighing ha-ru sound in the wind. Tupaia stands on the beach, looking from the whispering forest to the questioning stream to the green mountain that holds them both. This place speaks, he announces. Its water asks who. Its forest sighs peace. Its mountain is our pillar. We will call it Toki Harapain, the peaceful place of questioning waters. But we will say it softly, as the gecko says it, Toki Haru. A sigh of recognition passes through the people. The island is no longer it. It is Toki Haru. They have been answered. They have a neighbor now with a name. Fire is the soul of Hawaii. It cannot be left behind. Before unloading the sleeping mats or the tools, the most sacred task is performed. A young man named Ariki brings forth the firekeeper's gourd. It is a heavy, sealed calabash. Inside, smoldering in a bed of sand and ash, are the coals from the homeland's hearth. They have been tended daily on the voyage, fed precious scraps of coconut husk, never allowed to die. With great care, Ariki tips the gourd. A single glowing coal, no bigger than a whale's eye, rolls onto a prepared bed of dry, fluffy how fibers. He kneels and blows, gently, a wisp of smoke. A tiny orange tongue of flame leaps up. It catches on fine twigs, then larger sticks. The first fire of Tokaharu is born from the last fire of Havaki. The flame is the same flame. It is the unbroken breath of the ancestors. They build the hearth not in the open, but in a cleared, sheltered space between two great purao trees. Stones are placed in a circle. The fire is fed. Its light is a new star at the foot of the mountain, its smoke a new thread connecting earth to sky. That night they cook the first meal from the new land. Fay bananas roasted in the embers. A fish caught from the lagoon wrapped in leaves. The taste is different, the smoke of new woods, the salt of a new sea. But the warmth in the belly is the same. The circle of faces lit by the dancing flames is the same. The fire is more than heat. It is continuity. It says we have not arrived as refugees. We have arrived as a people, carrying our own sun with us. The hearth is the first true anchor in the new soil. The forest is a wall of green, dense, damp, and humming with unseen life. It is both a bounty and a mystery. Before they cut a single tree for a post, Tupaya leads a small party to the edge. He carries a small offering, a piece of white tapa cloth and a perfect black pearl from Havaki. We must ask permission, he says. The forest has its own tapu, its own sacredness. They stand at the threshold where sunlight becomes dappled shadow. Tupaya places the offering at the root of a great miro tree. He chants a karakia, not of possession, but of introduction. We are people of the canoe. We come from over the horizon. We seek wood for our house, food for our children, medicine for our sick. We offer respect. We ask for welcome. They wait in silence. A bird calls the kekska, the forest pigeon. Its call is low and soft. Oh, do. Tupaya listens, then nods. It is answered. The cakes is the keeper of the forest's voice. It does not sound alarmed. They enter single file. The air changes. It is cooler, fragrant with decay and blossom. Light falls in shafts, illuminating floating pollen. They take only what they need for the first day. Fallen branches for tool handles, fibrous bark for lashing, edible ferns. Hiro sees a tree with a strange knotted trunk. He reaches out to touch it. Tupaya's hand catches his wrist. Not that one, he whispers. See the shape? It holds a story that is not ours. We will walk around it. The forest is not a warehouse. It is a temple with its own gods. They are not conquerors here. They are guests. And a good guest knows which doors not to open, which corners to leave in shadow. They listen to its whispers, the rustle of leaves, the drip of water, the distant crack of a branch, and learn its first subtle laws. They will build their village not in the forest's heart, but in its embrace where the lagoon's breath meets the mountain's sigh. They have found the place, lit the fire, and now they have heard the land's first whispered terms of their stay. Food from the forest and lagoon is a gift, but a people cannot live on gifts alone. They must make a pact of growth with the soil. A flat, sunny terrace near the stream is chosen. The soil is dark and rich. Here they will plant the canoe garden, not just for food, but for memory. First, the ulu, the breadfruit, sprout. It is unwrapped from its voyage moss. Its roots are tender and pale. A deep hole is dug. At the bottom, they place a stone from Hawaki's Maori, a crushed pearl shell for strength, and a pinch of ash from the first fire. The sprout is settled in, its roots covered with the new earth. Water from the stream is poured over it. This tree will become the heart of the village, its wide leaves giving shade, its fruit giving life. It is the first anchor. Next, the kamar, the sweet potato. The precious vines, kept alive in damp baskets during the voyage, are cut into slips. They are planted in neat, mounded rows. The kamara is not from Hawaii. It is from a land before, a forgotten shore. It is a traveler, like them. It promises sweetness from a humble root. Then the taro. The corms, like fists of brown clay, are placed in the wet mud at the stream's edge. Taro is the child of water. It will thrive where the land drinks. Finally, the coconut. They select the best nuts from the trees already lining their beach. They are not planted near the parent trees, but carried further inland to start new groves. A coconut can float across an ocean and sprout. It is the ultimate voyager. Planting it is an act of faith in future journeys. As they work, they sing a planting chant, low and rhythmic. The garden is not a farm. It is a transplanted piece of their old life, given to the new earth as a promise. They are not just taking from Tokiharu. They are giving it new children, the children of Hawaii, who will put down roots and call this place home. Te Matau e Mandi Yu, the great canoe, rests on the beach. Its sea life is over. Salt crystals glitter on its hull like a final fading sweat. It cannot stay here. The sun will crack it. The termites will find it. Its second life begins with a ceremony of thanks. The whole village gathers. Tupaya speaks to the canoe as to a revered elder. You have carried our breath across the deep. You have listened to the swell and the star. You have found the land. Your work is complete. Now you will shelter us. With stone adzes, they begin the careful work of dismantling. It is not a destruction, but a transformation. The strong, straight mast becomes the main ridgepole of the meeting house. The planks of the hull are split and shaped into wall panels. The lashings of coconut sennet are reused to tie the new structure together. The outrigger float becomes a bench. The steering paddle is placed above the door of Tupaya's house, a symbol of guidance. Even the smallest chips and shavings are gathered. They will be kindling for sacred fires. The meeting house, when its frame is raised, is not just a building. It is the canoe turned inside out. Where once it held them against the sea, now it will hold them against the rain and wind. Its shape echoes the curve of the hull. To sit inside is to sit within the memory of the voyage. The canoe's spirit is not dead. It has simply come ashore. It has traded the rhythm of waves for the rhythm of village life. Its wood, which sang with the sounds of the ocean, will now sing with the sounds of children, of stories, of the meetings that will weave this new community together. They have known the steady trade wind, rain, the brief squall. But the first true storm comes one afternoon when the sky turns the color of a bruise. It begins not with wind, but with a profound, heavy stillness. The birds fall silent. The leaves hang limp. Then a distant grumble from the mountain. A sigh of wind through the high palms. And then the rain. It does not fall in drops. It falls in a wall of water, a roaring silver curtain that sweeps across the lagoon and smothers the village. It drums on the broad ulu leaves, thunders on the new thatched roofs, turns the paths into instant streams. They huddle in the meeting house, the transformed canoe. The sound is immense, primal. It is the island claiming them, testing them, watering the newly planted garden with the force they could never carry in their bamboo tubes. For 2 days and nights it rains. They learn the sound of their new world's anger and its generosity. The stream swells, becomes a brown, rushing torrent, but does not overrun its banks. The taro plants in the mud rejoice. When it finally passes, the world is washed clean. The air is diamond sharp. Every leaf glistens. The mountain wears a new white necklace of clouds. And from the forest comes a sound they have never heard. 1,000 tiny frogs, awakened by the deluge, singing a chorus of piercing, joyful, peep, peep, peep. Tupaya stands in the steaming sunlight. This is the Uanui, he says. The great rain, it has baptized our land. It has filled our springs and blessed our garden. Now we know this is the season of planting. After the Uanui, the earth is hungry for seeds. The storm was not an enemy. It was the first calendar of Tokiharu. They had brought their star calendar. Now they have received their rain calendar. The island has given them the second measure of their year. Time is no longer only in the sky. It is in the soil, in the rain, in the song of the frogs after the storm. They are learning to tell time by the heartbeat of their new home. The children find it. While foraging for pandanus nuts at the base of the mountain's rocky shoulder, little Rongo chases a green gecko into a cleft behind a waterfall's veil. He pushes through the cool spray and calls out. His voice returns with an echo. He has found a cave. The adults come with torches of bound reeds, their light smoky and orange. The entrance is low, but inside the cave opens into a high, dry chamber. The air is still and cool, smelling of ancient dust and wet stone. The light plays on the walls, and there they see them. Not paintings, handprints, dozens of them in a deep reddish-brown pigment. Small hands, large hands, overlapping. They are not arranged in a pattern. They are a crowd of silent greetings from another time. Beside them are simple shapes, a circle that could be a sun, wavy lines that might be the sea, a stick-figure fish. A deep silence fills the chamber, deeper than the silence of the forest. They are not the first people here. Tupaya kneels before the wall. He does not touch. He holds his own hand up near one of the prints. It is smaller than his. The fingers are splayed wide. The Menehune, he whispers, the word for the mythical little people of forgotten times. Or others like us, from a different canoe, a different star path. They were here. They saw this island, felt this cave's coolness, and left their mark to say, we lived. There is no fear in the discovery, only a profound humility. The island's story is longer than their story. They are not pioneers, but the next chapter. They decide not to live in the cave or mark it further. They leave an offering at its mouth, a new black pearl from their first lagoon dive, and a perfect white cowrie shell. A gift from the new arrivals to the ancient ones. A message left in the ledger of the island. We see you. We respect you. We will add our story to yours carefully. Stories are the true cargo of a canoe. The first story told in the new meeting house under the ridgepole that was once the mast is not an old story from Hawaii. It is a new story born on the voyage. Tupaya tells it. The people sit on mats of fresh-woven palm, the fire pit glowing in the center. This is the story of the star that fell into the canoe, he begins. On the 20th night, when the sea was black glass and the sky was heavy with stars, a great weariness was upon us. The water gourds were low. The wind had slept for 2 days. Our arms were lead from paddling. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw a streak of silver fire, a shooting star, but it did not vanish over the horizon. It fell straight down, sizzling, toward our canoe. My heart froze, but it did not strike us. It landed in the air just above Hero's head as he slept, and hung there a tiny, shimmering bead of cold light. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Then it spoke, not with a voice, but inside my mind. It said, "I am the last light of a star that died 1,000 years ago. I have been falling all that time. I am tired. Your canoe is the first kindness I have seen in the long, cold dark. May I rest here?" I nodded, though no one saw me. The little light drifted down and settled on the prow of Tematau, where it glowed softly until dawn. Where it shone, the wood became stronger, the lashings tighter, and when the sun rose, it was gone. But a new strength was in the canoe, a warmth. And the next day, the wind returned. He finishes. The people look at the wood of their meeting house, the former canoe. They see not just timber, but a vessel that carried a piece of star fire. The story is now part of the wood's grain, part of the village's foundation. It is their first shared memory of this new life, a story that could only have happened here on the journey between. It is the first true story of Tokeharu. Life has settled into a rhythm of garden, lagoon, and forest. Then one morning, a child's sharp cry slices the calm. A canoe. A canoe. On the horizon, a dark speck. It is not a bird. It is the unmistakable silhouette of a sailing outrigger. But it is not Tematau. It is unfamiliar, its sail a different shape. A ripple of alarm passes through the village. Strangers. Tupaya climbs to a high rock. He watches. The canoe is not heading for the reef pass. It is moving slowly, parallel to the coast, as if searching, as if reading the same cloud signs, the same bird paths. They are not invaders, they are voyagers. Like them, Tupaya makes a decision. He sends 3 men in a small fishing canoe out past the reef. They carry no weapons. They carry green palm fronds, the universal sign of peace. They approach the stranger canoe, holding the fronds high. The other canoe slows. A man stands at its prow. His face is painted with different patterns, but his eyes hold the same sun squint, the same ocean knowledge. They exchange no words that can be understood, but the language of the sea is universal. They gesture to the land, to the sky, to their own chests. They make the sign for sleeping, for water, for friendship. An invitation is offered. That evening, 24 strangers sit on the beach of Tokeharu. Their canoe is pulled up beside the ghost of Tematau. They are from an island called Veda, far to the west. They have been at sea for 50 days. Their water is gone. They share a meal, kamara and roasted fish. The Veda people offer gifts, a strange, vibrant orange feather from a bird none have seen, and a cutting from a vine that bears a tart purple fruit. That night, under the same stars that guided them both, Tupaya and the Vata navigator, Mako, sit by the fire. They draw maps in the sand with a stick not of land, but of currents and star paths. They exchange knowledge. Mako points to a constellation and gives it a name in his tongue. Tupaia points to another and gives its Havake name. They realize they are talking about the same star. A laugh, deep and relieved, breaks the tension. The strangers stay for 3 days to replenish their water and mend a torn sail. When they leave, there are no tears, but there is a new, profound feeling, connection. They are not alone in the vast ocean. The sea road has other travelers. The world is wider, yet smaller than they knew. Tokeharu is no longer just an endpoint. It has become a way station, a dot on the great, invisible map of the Pacific, shared between people who speak to the waves and the stars. They have met their first neighbors, and the ocean suddenly feels less like a wilderness and more like a community of far-flung shores, whispering to each other on the wind. The first birth on Tokeharu is not an emergency. It is a ceremony that the whole island attends. Mona, the woman who heard the gecko's toki-toki, feels the first pains at dawn. The women lead her to a special hut built for this purpose, near the whispering stream. It is lined with soft, dry ferns and the finest tapa cloth, woven during the voyage. The men are not absent. They gather at the meeting house. Their role is not to wait, but to hold space. Tupaia instructs them to be still, to listen to the wind, to feel the solid earth, and to project a vibration of calm strength toward the birth hut. They are the human reef, breaking the waves of anxiety. The midwife is Hina, an elder with hands that know the secrets of pressure and pain. She hums a low, continuous tune, the same tune used to lull babies to sleep on the rolling canoe. It is a sound of motion soothed, of a safe harbor found. Outside, the village is quiet. No pounding of tapa, no chopping of wood. Even the children sit still, making necklaces of shells, their small voices hushed. The island itself seems to hold its breath. The usual trade wind softens to a caress. The labor lasts through the day. As the sun sets, painting the lagoon in fiery ribbons, a new sound cuts the silence. Not a cry of distress, but a strong, clear wail. A new voice has joined the chorus of Tokeharu. Hina emerges, her face glowing in the twilight. She nods to Tupaia. He walks to the stream, fills a coconut shell with the purest water, and brings it to the hut. The baby is a girl. She is washed in the water of the island's heartstream. Mona, exhausted and radiant, holds her up so the first thing the child sees is not a ceiling, but the first stars of evening appearing through the open doorway Matariki, the Pleiades, their celestial grandmothers. She is named Ata, which means dawn shadow, for the time of day she was born, and for the gentle, protective shade of the new ulu tree. That night, the feast is not one of loud celebration, but of deep, quiet joy. The fire is bright. The songs are lullabies. Ada sleeps against her mother's chest, her first dreams woven from the sounds of the island's first night, welcoming its first native daughter. The people feel a new kind of rootedness. The future is no longer an idea. It is here, breathing, small and perfect in its mother's arms. A village has a heartbeat. On Hiveki, it was the great Pahu drum made from a hollowed-out breadfruit log, its voice calling people to gather, to mourn, to dance. Tokeharu needs its own heart. Ariki, the firekeeper, is chosen for the task. He goes into the forest, not to take the first tree he sees, but to listen again. He needs a tree that has a song trapped inside it. He finds a tall, straight Milo tree, its wood known for its deep resonance. He asks its permission, leaves an offering of dried fish, and only then makes the first cut. The log is hauled back with great care. The work of hollowing it is slow, sacred. Using his stone adze and fire coals to char the interior, he patiently carves out the chamber. The hollowing creates the voice. Each chip of wood that falls is a note being freed. Then the skin. Not from a pig or a goat, but from a shark. A young reef shark, caught with reverence, its spirit thanked for the gift. The skin is carefully removed, scraped thin, stretched, and dried. The shark, ruler of the ocean, will give its voice to the village. On the day of the lashing, the whole village gathers. The dried shark skin is soaked in seawater until it is supple, then stretched taut over the log's opening. Strong sinnet cord, woven by the women, is used to lace it down, pulling it tighter and tighter. As the lashing progresses, Ariki taps the center with his finger, thump. A dull, dead sound. Thump, thump, a little tighter, a little clearer. Finally, with the last cord, pulled with the strength of 4 men, he strikes it with the flat of his hand. Boom. The sound is deep, warm, and vast. It rolls out from the meeting house like a physical wave, echoing off the mountain, reaching the farthest corners of the lagoon. It is the sound of the forest, the wood married to the sound of the sea, the shark. It is the unified voice of Tokiharu. They named the drum Taimanawa, Otefenua, the heartbeat of the land. Its first official beat is not for a war or a festival, but to mark the setting sun. A single resonant boom that says to the island and its people, another day, we are here. We are together. They knew the Yuanui, the great rain, but the sea has a different kind of temper. For days the wind turns strange. It comes from the south, hot and fitful. The swell, usually a steady rhythm from the east, becomes confused, choppy. The lagoon water grows warm and murky. The reef's constant hum rises to an angry roar. Tupaya watches the horizon with a grim face. The sea is pulling its breath in, he says. It will blow it back out. It begins at night. A howl in the darkness, a sound none have heard before, the sound of wind with nothing to stop it for 1,000 miles. Then the rain returns, but this time horizontally, stinging like pebbles. This is not a rainstorm. It is a tie off a great wind from the deep ocean. They huddle in the strongest houses. The heartbeat drums silent. The sound is terrifying. The scream of the wind, the crash of trees, the explosive crack of a giant coconut palm snapping. The world is being unmade. At the height of the fury, there is a new sound, a grinding, thunderous roar from the beach. It is the sound of the ocean ignoring the reef, climbing the sand, eating the land. They can do nothing but wait and hold each other. Dawn comes, gray and weeping. The wind has moved on, leaving a stunned, battered world in its wake. They emerge. The beach is unrecognizable. It is wider, scoured clean. Their fishing canoes are gone, smashed, or swept into the forest. The mighty pu'au trees that framed the village are toppled, roots clawing at the sky. But the worst sight is the canoe shed, the shelter holding the precious remnants of Te Mata a Mandiu. I is a ruin of splintered wood. The sacred planks are scattered, some driven into the sand like spears, others simply gone. A moment of despair threatens to swallow them. Their last tangible link to Haveki, to the voyage, seems destroyed. Then old Hina speaks, her voice clear over the sigh of the broken trees. Look, she says, pointing not at the wreckage, but at the new beach. The ocean did not just take. It gave. Where the high water mark now lies, the storm has revealed what was hidden. a long, smooth bank of perfect, round pebbles in colors of charcoal, ivory, and a blue like the deep lagoon. A natural seawall, gifted by the storm. And there, amidst the pebbles, they find something else. A single carved plank from the canoe, the one that bore the figurehead. It is scratched, but unbroken. It washed up at the very center of the new beach, as if delivered. Tupaya picks it up. He holds it high. The ocean has tested us, he calls out. It has taken what was fragile. It has given us stronger stones, and it has returned the heart of our canoe. We will not rebuild the shed. We will use these new stones to build a foundation that cannot be washed away. The storm did not break us. It showed us where to build. The despair lifts. The work begins again, not from memory, but from necessity. The village will be rebuilt, not where it was, but where it should be. The storm was not an ending. It was the island's fierce, uncompromising way of giving them the final, indelible map of their home. The storm's aftermath is a time of hard labor. Hands that once paddled and wove now haul stone, lift logs, and pull splinters. It is during this work that the new generation receives its first permanent mark. Hero, now a young man, is helping to shape a new post for the meeting house. The basalt adze slips, biting not into the wood, but into the meat of his left thigh. He lets out a sharp gasp. The cut is deep, clean, and bleeds fiercely. There is no panic. Hina is summoned. She washes the wound with fresh water and the juice of a no-no leaf, known for its sting and its power to fight the bad spirits of decay. She then takes a bone needle and a thread of fine, strong fiber from the faux tree. As she stitches the skin together, her hands are steady. Hero bites on a piece of leather, his face pale but set. The wound heals, but it leaves a raised, pink line of scar. It is not hidden, it is worn openly. That evening, Tupaya calls Hero before the people. You carry the land in your skin now, he says. Your blood has watered this soil. This mark is not a mistake. It is a signature. The island has written its name on you, and you have written your pain into the story of this place. From this day, you are not just hero of Havaki. You are hero of the scar, a man of Tokiharu. The scar becomes a badge not of shame, but of belonging. Other injuries follow a burn from a cooking stone, a gash from a coral reef. Each is tended, each leaves its mark. The people begin to see their bodies not as perfect vessels from a lost homeland, but as living maps of their life here, etched with the proofs of work, accident, and survival. The first scar transforms Hero. He walks differently. He touches the ridge of the scar when he is thinking. It is a physical memory, a conversation with the island that is always with him. He is no longer a visitor in a body from somewhere else. His flesh itself has been claimed by the new earth. A week after the storm, little Rongo finds a bird at the forest's edge. It is a keter, a sacred kingfisher, its plumage a dazzling flash of turquoise and chestnut. But one wing drags awkwardly in the leaf litter. It has been grounded by the great wind. Rongo does not grab it. He sits a distance away and watches. The bird watches him back, one bright eye unblinking. Slowly Rongo reaches into his pouch and scatters a few crumbs of dried coconut. The bird ignores them, its chest heaving with fear. Rongo goes to Hina. The blue bird is broken, he says. Hina nods. Together they return. Hina moves with the slowness of clouds. She hums the same tune she used for Mona in labor. She gently wraps the bird in a soft piece of taba cloth, cradling it so the broken wing is supported. She brings it to her hut. For days she tends it. She splints the tiny wing with a sliver of bamboo and spider silk thread. She feeds it mashed grubs and water from a fern tip. The bird sleeps in a basket hung from her roof. Rongo visits every day. He sits in silence, learning the language of quiet care. The bird's fear ebbs. Its bright eyes lose their panic. After a moon cycle, the splint is removed. The wing is weak but whole. Hina takes the basket to the clearing. She opens it. The Qatari hops out, looks around, and with a whir of tentative wings, flutters to a low branch. It preens, looks at Hina and Rongo, and lets out its call aloud, rattling he-ki-ki-gat sounds like laughter. It does not fly far that day, but each day after, it returns to the clearing, often with a shiny beetle in its beak, which it drops at Rongo's feet before zipping away. The gift is not the beetle. The gift is the trust. The bird, a wild spirit of the forest, has accepted them. It has woven a thread between its world and theirs. In healing the kingfisher, they have not tamed the forest. They have earned a single brilliant point of recognition within it. They are now the people who mended the blue bird. The forest remembers. A year has passed. The village is rebuilt, stronger. The garden thrives. The drum's heartbeat marks the days. It is time to take stock, not of supplies, but of meaning. Tupaya calls the first council of names. Every adult gathers. The purpose is simple, to say what Tokeharu has become to them, not in a chief's decree, but in a chorus of voices. They speak in turn by the light of the central fire. A fisherman stands. To me this place is time of glee, he says. The peaceful sea, for the calm of our lagoon after the storm. A woman who tends the taro patch speaks next. To me it is one Yua, she says, the rain soil, for the dark earth that drinks the rain and gives us food. Hiro touches the scar on his leg. To me it is Winyua Tamao, he says, the standing land, the land that holds firm beneath our feet. Old Hina smiles. To me it is Te Kabinga o Te Manu, she whispers, the home of the bird, for the kingfisher who chose to stay. Rongo, now allowed to listen, pipes up. It's my secret cave. The adults laugh gently. Mona, holding baby Eta, says, it is Anoinga, the joining, for the new life that connects us all. Finally, Tupaya looks around at the faces, fire-lit and full of a peace hard won. We each have a name for our home, he says, and all the names are true. Tokeharu is not one thing. It is all of these things. It is the peaceful sea and the rain soil and the standing land. Our strength is not in one name, but in many. This is the wisdom of the council. We do not need to choose. We can hold it all. The council does not end with a decree. It ends with the sharing of kava, a bitter drink from a new root, passed in a coconut cup. Each person drinks, and in the shared bitterness, they taste the many flavors of their shared life, the salt, the soil, the struggle, the sweetness. The village now has an official name for strangers, Tokeharu, but in their hearts it has 100 names, 100 whispered truths that together form the complete, living story of their place in the world. They are no longer a people from Havaki living on an island. They are the people of the many-named land, rooted in a reality they have built, word by word, scar by scar, together. The Council of Names has woven the community tightly together. Life settles into a rhythm as predictable as the tides. Then the ocean sends a message. It is Hero, walking the new stone seawall at dawn, who sees it first. Washed up among the storm pebbles is something that does not belong. Not driftwood, not pumice. It is a piece of worked wood, a fragment of a plank charred on one edge, carved with a pattern of interlocking triangles, a pattern unknown in Tokiharu or Hawaiki. He brings it to Tupaia. The old navigator turns it over in his hands, his brow furrowed. He sniffs the charred edge. He holds it to his ear as if it might whisper. "This is not from a storm," he says finally. "The burning is old. The carving is from far away. This wood has traveled a long, sad journey." He gathers the people. He holds the fragment aloft. The ocean does not just give us fish and pebbles. Sometimes it gives us news. This is news of fire, of a canoe or a village that met a fate we do not know. It tells us that the sea road is not always peaceful, that others out there may have faced darkness as solemn quiet falls. The fragment is not a threat, but a reminder. The vast blue that cradles them can also consume. The safe lagoon, the solid mountain, these are gifts, not guarantees. Tupaia does not let the mood turn to fear. "But see," he says, tracing the precise carving, "even in fire, the pattern remains. The maker's hand is still here. They made something beautiful. The ocean did not erase it. It brought it to us. We will not forget this message. We will add it to our story." They place the charred fragment in the meeting house beside the steering paddle. It becomes a sacred artifact, not of their history, but of the ocean's larger, sometimes tragic story. It teaches them compassion for the unseen. Every time they look at it, they send a silent thought across the waves to the unknown carver, a thought of respect and peace. The ocean has made them citizens of a wider, more fragile world. The breadfruit tree planted on the first day is now a young giant, its canopy casting a deep, cool shade. And it has borne its first fruit great, knobbly green globes hanging heavy from the branches. This is cause for the first true celebration, the Ulu festival. For days the village prepares. The women gather wild hibiscus to make red dye for new tapa. The men build a great earth oven, a himna, digging a pit and heating stones in a roaring fire. Children weave garlands of fern and white shell. On the morning of the festival, Tupaia leads a procession to the tree. He offers a chant of thanks to the tree's spirit and to the original sprout from Hawaiki. Then, with a long polished hook, he harvests the first fruit. It is carried on a bier of green leaves to the himna. The pit is lined with steaming stones. The breadfruit, along with kamara, taro, and bananas, is placed inside, covered with banana leaves and earth. The cooking takes all day, a slow alchemy of steam and heat. As dusk falls, the earth is scraped back. The scent that rises is indescribable, the sweet, nutty perfume of cooked breadfruit, mingled with the earth and leaves. The food is laid out on fresh banana leaves in the meeting house. The feast begins, but not before the first bite. Tupaia takes a piece of the sacred breadfruit, breaks it, and gives a fragment to every person, from the oldest to baby Aita, who gums it with wide eyes. The eating is joyful, but the heart of the festival is the dancing. The great drum, Te Manala, is brought out. Its boom echoes in the night. The people dance not a war dance, but a dance of growth slow, undulating movements that mimic the swell of the sea, the growth of plants, the reaching of branches. They dance the story of the voyage, of the planting, of the storm, of the birth. Their bodies become a living history of Tokuharu. The festival ends not with exhaustion, but with a deep communal contentment. The land has proven its promise. They planted a memory, and it has given them back food, shade, and a reason to dance as one people under their own stars. After the festival, a change comes over Tupaya. He who was always watching, teaching, speaking, grows quiet. He spends long hours sitting on the headland, gazing not at the horizon for signs, but at the village and the cove below. He watches Hiro teach other boys to read the swell. He watches Hina pass her knowledge of herbs to Mona. He sees the new patterns being woven into the tapa, patterns that blend Haveki's symbols with the shapes of Tokuharu's shells and leaves. One afternoon, he calls Hiro to him. He does not speak of stars or currents. He points to the new canoe being built, a smaller fishing vessel made from island wood. "You see how the grain runs?" Tupaya says, his voice a dry whisper. "That is the path it wants to take in the water. Your job is not to force it, but to follow the grain. It is the last lesson, not about navigation, but about leadership." That night, Tupaya does not come to the fire. They find him in his hut, lying on his mat. He is not sick. He is simply finished. His eyes are clear, looking at something beyond the thatched roof. His breathing is slow, like a tide going out. The village holds a vigil. They do not wail. They sit in silence as he taught them to do. They listen to the night sounds, the reef, the wind in the palms, the last calls of the birds, the symphony of the home he found for them. Just before dawn, his breath sighs out one last time and does not return. The silence that follows is not empty. It is full. It is full of his teachings, now rooted in their minds, full of the safe harbor he guided them to. He has not left them. He has simply stepped out of the canoe onto a farther shore, leaving them the vessel, the map, and the knowledge to sail on without him. They bury him on the headland, facing the rising sun and the endless sea road. They place his personal steering paddle beside him. They do not mark it with a grand monument. They plant a cutting from the original ulu tree at his head. The navigator is silent, but the island speaks for him. The wind in the new tree will be his voice. His silence is his final, most profound gift, the space for their own voices to rise, strong and sure in the land he helped them claim. The silence Tupaya left is vast, like the sky missing a star. For 3 days the village moves softly, speaking in hushed tones, waiting for a sign. Who will read the wind now? Who will stand at the point when the next storm gathers? On the 4th morning, Hiro walks to the headland. He does not go to Tupaya's grave. He goes to the sitting stone, worn smooth by the old navigator's years of watching. He sits. He does not try to think like Tupaya. He simply listens. He listens to the different voices of the wind as it curls around the mountain. He watches not just the horizon, but the patterns of the birds over the lagoon, which schools of fish they are diving for, and what that means about the hidden currents below. He feels the sun's heat on the stone and remembers how Tupaya could tell the time of year by its angle on a certain rock. He is not Tupaya. His knowledge is younger, more immediate. He realizes his role is not to replicate the past, but to translate the present. That afternoon, a squall brews on the western horizon. The fishermen look to him. Old Hina watches from her doorway. Hiro studies the clouds underbelly, its color, the speed of its approach. He thinks not of star paths, but of the fishing canoes on the water, of the newly planted taro shoots that could be battered. "Bring in the canoes," he says, his voice clear but not commanding. "Secure the taro covers. It will be a quick rain, heavy but short. It will pass before dusk." They obey. The squall comes, drenches the village for an hour, and moves on as the sun breaks through, painting a rainbow over the eastern ridge. The canoes are safe. The taro is unharmed. No one declares Hero the new navigator. There is no ceremony. But the next time a strange cloud appears, or the behavior of the fish changes, they glance toward the headland. They see him there, on the setting stone, a silhouette against the sky, not filling Tupaya's space, but holding a new space of his own. The Pathfinder is no longer one man with secret knowledge. The path is now a trail walked by all, with Hero as their first scout. With Tupaya gone, the stories of the great voyage risk fading into myth. The children know they came from over the sea, but the sea is a flat blue mystery to them. Hero decides the story must be felt, not just told. One evening he takes the older children to the lagoon's edge at dusk. They wade in up to their knees. "Close your eyes," he says. "Now lie back. Let the water hold you. Do not swim. Just float." The children, giggling at first, grow still. They feel the gentle rock of the lagoon's pulse. "This," Hero says softly, his voice carried on the water, "is the small breath, the lagoon breathing. Now, listen past it. In the distance, beyond the reef, the deep ocean swell crashes with a low, eternal whoosh. Crash, whoosh, crash. That," he says, "is the great breath. The breath of the Mona, the deep ocean. That is the sound that cradled our canoe for 40 nights. Your grandfathers and grandmothers slept to that sound. It is the heartbeat of the world. He has them lie still until the stars appear. Then he points. See the star that is first to brighten? That is Tarua Nui. We steered left of her. Her light on the water was a path of silver. We followed it. He doesn't teach them the star compass yet. He gives them the sensation, the feeling of being held by an immense rhythmic force. The sight of a star as a guide, not a pinprick. He gives them the song of the deep current, a song not of words, but of vibration, of salt, of star glitter on black water. From that night on, the children understand the voyage not as a history lesson, but as a part of their bodies. They feel it in the rock of their sleeping mats. They hear it in the high tide crash on the reef. The sea is no longer a barrier. It is the road their family walked, a road whose song still echoes in the shell they hold to their ear. The past becomes a tide within them, forever ebbing and flowing. A restless energy grows in Hero, a quiet pulling in his blood. He spends more time with the charred wood fragment in the meeting house, with the stories of the Veda visitors. He looks east where the sun rises from the sea. One night he dreams, not of Haveki, but of an island shaped like a turtle, with a smoke plume rising from its back. A new island. He knows what it means. The cycle is not complete. Tokiharu is home, but the voyage is not over. It is a relay. One canoe finds land, settles, grows strong. Then, when the people are many and the land feels the press of feet, a new canoe must be built, not to escape, but to fulfill the promise. He proposes it at the council. There is fear, but also a deep, humming recognition. They remember the feeling of being full on Haveki. They see their own children multiplying. The breadfruit gives generously, but land is finite. We will not all go, Hero assures them. Tokiharu is our root, but a tree sends out seeds. We will build a new canoe, a seed canoe. It will carry a new family, a new fire gourd, new cuttings from our garden. It will find the turtle island from my dream or another, and they will become their own people, under their own stars. The work begins with a new sacred purpose. They are not building for escape or desperation, but for continuation. The new canoe is named Te Kakano, the seed. As they shape the hull, they sing different songs. Not the deep, mournful chants of exile, but brighter, hopeful songs of growth and sending. They are not losing family. They are growing branches. Hero will not command this voyage. He will help build the canoe, teach the new navigator, a keen-eyed young man named Rango, the cave finder, and then he will stand on the headland and watch Te Kakano become a speck on the horizon. He understands Tupaya's final silence now. The true navigator's work is to make himself unnecessary, to plant the knowledge so deeply that it sprouts anew in others, who will then carry the song of the sea road to shores he will never see. The voyage never ends. It just changes hands, from one generation to the next, an endless, whispering relay across the face of the great blue world. The feast for Te Kakano is not a farewell. It is ascending. The mood is not one of grief, but of solemn, hopeful pride. The air smells of roasting pig from the himna, of steaming taro, and the sweet, fermented scent of a wa prepared in the ceremonial bowl. The 20 who will go to families with young children, the navigator Rango, and his crew sit in a place of honor. They wear new tapa clothes, dyed with the deep blue of the lagoon and the red of farewell blossoms. The speeches are not long. Old Hina, her voice thin but clear, speaks first. You do not carry our tears, you carry our hope. And your canoe is a piece of our soil, a spark of our fire, a fragment of our song. Where you land, a new Tokiharu will whisper, grow strong and remember the sound of this reef. Hero presents Rango with the navigation gourd. It is not Tupaya's. It is a new one, carved over the past year. Inside are not coals, but sacred objects, a pebble from the headland, a feather from the kingfisher, a tiny chip from the charred messenger wood. These will remind you, Hero says, that you navigate from a place of peace, of connection, and of shared stories. The stars will guide your way, but these will guide your heart. Then comes the gift of the voice. The great drum, Te Manawa o Te Whenua, is struck not in a complex rhythm, but in a single, deep, resonant boom that hangs in the air. Then silence. Then another. Boom, it is the heartbeat of the home they're leaving. The crew listens, their eyes closed, memorizing the vibration in their chests. Wherever they go, they will be able to close their eyes and recall this sound, the heartbeat of their origin. The feast ends not with revelry, but with a quiet laying on of hands. Each person staying walks by the crew, placing a hand briefly on a shoulder, a head, an arm of physical transfer, of strength, of unspoken love. No words are needed. The touch says everything. Dawn on the leaving day is flawless. The lagoon is a mirror, the sky a pale, clear blue. Te Kakano rests in the shallows, laden its sail of woven pandanus, not yet raised. The final loading is silent. The breadfruit sprout, descendant of the first. The fire gourd lit from the communal hearth. The cuttings of prized Kamara. The people bored, finding their places. Rango stands at the stern, his hand on the great steering paddle. He looks young, but his jaw is set with a focus that reminds Hero of Tupaya gazing at the horizon. There are no last-minute cries, no clinging. Everything has been said. Hero wades into the water up to his waist. He places his forehead against the carved prow of the canoe, the same gesture he once saw Tupaia make to Te Matau. He whispers a final karakia, a prayer for clear stars and steady winds. Then he steps back. The paddles dip. The canoe glides forward through the lagoon toward the reef pass. The crowd on the beach does not wave. They stand still, a solid, silent line of love against the green land. Te Kakano reaches the pass. For a moment it is silhouetted against the roaring, white surf of the reef. Then it clears the channel and enters the deep indigo ocean. The sail is raised. It catches the morning trade wind, snapping full with a sound like a giant breath being taken. The canoe becomes smaller, a dark sliver on an immense blue. It seems to hang between sea and sky for a long time. Then, with aching slowness, it diminishes further, a speck, a point of darkness on the glittering plain. Then it is gone. The people on the beach let out a long, collective sigh, a sound of release, of love sent, of a story entrusted to the sea. They do not leave the beach. They sit down on the warm sand, watching the empty horizon where the sail vanished, as if by watching they can hold the connection a little longer. They watch until the sun is high, and the horizon is just a line, clear and empty and full of infinite possibility. The village feels different after Te Kakano leaves. Not empty, but echoic. Spaces where children played are quiet. Certain laughter is missing from the evening fire. But the island itself seems to respond, to fill the spaces with new purpose. Hera notices it first. The water in the lagoon seems clearer, as if washed by the departure. The fish are more plentiful. The fruiting season in the forest is exceptionally abundant, as if the land is saying, "I will care for those who remain." A week after the departure, a profound quiet settles over Hero. He goes to the lagoon, not to fish, but to float, as he taught the children. He lies back, ears submerged. He hears the usual clicks and pops of the underwater world. Then he hears it, a new sound, a deep, resonant, musical hum. It vibrates through the water into his bones. It is the sound of a large creature, a humpback whale, perhaps miles out to sea, singing its complex, lonely song. The sound travels through the ocean's pathways, funneled by underwater canyons, and emerges here in their safe, shallow lagoon. It is an echo from the deep road, a song from the very journey Te Kakano is now on. Hero understands. The connection is not broken, it is transformed. They are linked now not by sight, but by sound, by the shared medium of the ocean itself. The whale's song is a bridge. When the wind is right, they might hear it again. When Rongo lies in a new lagoon on a new island, he too might hear a whale's song, a different part of the same endless melody. That night, Hero tells the people about the echo. He doesn't call it a sign or a message. He calls it a reminder. The ocean is not a void that separates, he says. It is a body that connects. Its currents are veins. Its swells are breaths. Its songs travel from one shore to another. We are not alone on our rock. We are part of a living, singing creature far greater than we can see. Te Kakano is out there on the skin of that creature, and we are here listening to its heartbeat in our lagoon. The loneliness lifts. The departure is not an ending, but a stretching. Their community has become elastic, spanning an ocean, held together by whale song, star paths, and the unbroken rhythm of the sea that cradles them all. The echo in the lagoon is the sound of their own love, returning to them from the deep, proof that nothing truly leaves. It just changes its form. With Rongo and his stories gone to sea, a quiet falls over the evening fire. The old epics of Haveki feel distant, like legends of another world. The recent epic of the first voyage is still too raw, too personal for easy telling. The circle needs a new voice. It is Eta, the firstborn of Tokiharu, now a girl of 6 with wide, observing eyes, who steps into the silence. Not by announcing herself, but by beginning. One night, as the fire crackles, she picks up 3 small, smooth stones from the hearth's edge. She holds them up. This, she says, placing a black one in the sand, is the old mountain, sleeping. She places a white one next to it. This is the cloud that stood still. Finally, a gray pebble. And this is Tekakano, the seed, sailing between them. She then takes a stick and draws a wavy line in the sand connecting them all. This is the whale's song. It goes under everything and holds them together. The adults watch, transfixed. She is not recounting history. She is creating myth. In her child's mind, the elements of their world, the geography, the weather, their own deeds are characters in a living story. The mountain sleeps. The cloud stands guard. The canoe is a seed. The ocean is a song. Night after night she adds to it. The kingfisher becomes the blue messenger. The storm is the great breath of the ocean, cleaning the beach. The cave handprints are the whisper people who warmed the stones for us. Her stories have no clear moral, no hero's journey. They are ecological. They are about relationship. They explain why the reef hums. It's talking to the whale, and why the breadfruit is sticky. It's full of star sap. The people realize she is not just entertaining. She is teaching them how to see their home. Through her eyes, the island is no longer just a resource or a shelter. It is a network of sentient, interacting beings. They are living inside a story she is narrating as it unfolds. Atta becomes the new storyteller. Her authority comes not from memory or navigation, but from a pure, poetic perception of the present. She ensures that the soul of Tokiharu is not preserved in amber, but is constantly being reimagined, growing like the roots of the ulu tree, deeper and more wondrous with each telling. It begins with a single, long, white feather, drifting down from a flawless sky to land at Hero's feet as he works in the garden. It is a tropic bird feather, impossibly delicate, with a central spine strong enough to have ridden hurricanes. Then another, and another. They look up, high above, so high they are just specks. A vast flock of tropic birds is migrating, thousands upon thousands. A river of white flowing from the southwest to the northeast, silent except for the faintest whisper of a million wings cleaving the thin, cold air. The feathers detach in the high-altitude wind and spiral down, a slow, silent snowfall of white. They coat the thatched roofs, carpet the paths, float on the lagoon's surface like a fleet of tiny sails. The people stop working. They stand, mouths open, catching feathers on upturned palms. It is eerily beautiful, a blessing from a realm they never visit. For an hour the world is hushed under this gentle celestial storm. Atta runs, laughing, trying to catch them. Hina collects a handful, her old eyes bright. These are from the birds who never land, she whispers. They live their whole lives on the wing, riding the winds between worlds. They are the true navigators. When the last feather settles, the village is transformed. It looks dressed for a festival it didn't know was coming. The practical world is veiled in soft, impractical beauty. They gather the feathers, not to waste them. They will be used to fletch special arrows, to adorn the hair of brides, to make fans for cooling the sick. The gift of the sky wanderers will be woven into their lives. The rain of feathers teaches them about scale. Their island is a dot. Their canoe voyages are lines. But the birds paint rivers across the sky, connecting continents they cannot imagine. They are reminded that they are part of a pattern vaster than the ocean, a pattern of migration and wind that arches over their entire world. Their home is not just an island in a sea, but a floor under an immense feathered sky. The arrival of the feathers stirs something in Hero, a need to place their story within the larger story. One afternoon, on a wide, flat stretch of wet sand at low tide, he begins to draw. He does not call the people. They simply gather, drawn by the solemn focus of his movements. With a long stick, he scores a great circle in the sand. The ocean, he says. Inside, he draws a larger dot to the west. Haveki. From it, he draws a line eastward. The voyage of Te Mata, the line ends at a smaller dot, Tokeharu. Then, from Tokeharu, he draws another line, curving southeast. The voyage of Te Kakano. This line ends in an empty space, a question mark, the new place. But he is not finished. He draws a dotted line from the southwest to the northeast, arching over Tokeharu. The path of the featherbirds. He draws a wavy line circling the whole map. The song of the whale, which is everywhere. Then he points to the space between Tokeharu and Haveki. Here, he says, is where we found the charred wood. He makes a small X. A story of fire. He points to the north. Somewhere here is Vete, the people who visited. Another X. Finally, he walks to the very edge of his great circle in the sand beyond and makes a single deep impression with his heel. He says nothing. Atta walks forward and points to the heel mark. What is that outside the ocean? Hero looks at her, then at the others. That, he says quietly, is the footprint of the giant who holds the ocean in his bowl. We do not know his name. We only know he is there. The map is not a chart for sailing. It is a map of meaning. It places their known world, their journeys, their tragedies, their visitors, the paths of animals within a frame of acknowledged mystery. It shows them as a nexus and a web of connections, seen and unseen. They do not rush to erase it. They let the tide take it, slowly, over the hours, each line and dot dissolving back into the featureless sand. The map does not need to be permanent. Its truth has been seen, understood, and absorbed. They carry it now inside them, a mental map where they are both central and profoundly small, connected by countless threads to a story that is forever being drawn and erased on the great, wet sand of the world. A change comes to Tokeharu, not in the wind or waves, but in the pace. After the drama of the storm, the departure, the feathers, life enters a deep green period of calm. The people call it Te Dabotuno, the season of stillness. It is a time of profound, almost drowsy growth. The gardens, now well established, require less frantic tending. The taro spreads its broad leaves languidly. The breadfruit trees are heavy with fruit that seems to ripen in slow motion. Even the fish in the lagoon appear to swim more slowly in the sun-dappled water. This stillness is not idleness. it is absorption. It is the island and its people digesting all that has happened. Hands that once built, patched, and paddled now turn to finer work, carving intricate patterns into calabashes, learning to plait impossibly complex mats, perfecting the dye for tapa cloth until it matches the exact violet of the twilight sky. Conversations by the evening fire become longer, more meandering. Stories are told not just of great deeds, but of small moments, the taste of a particular fruit, the way the light fell through the forest on a certain afternoon, the dream of a forgotten ancestor. Hero finds he can sit on the headland for hours, thinking of nothing in particular, just feeling the sun move across his back, watching the clouds form and dissolve over the mountain. The urgent need to do has softened into a capacity to be. In this stillness they notice new things, the precise daily path of a certain butterfly, the underground network of roots that connects the ulu trees, the way the very young and the very old seem to share a similar, slow rhythm of breath. The season of stillness teaches them that a community, like a forest, needs periods of quiet growth between the storms and the harvests. It is in this quiet that deep roots strengthen, that culture deepens its patterns, that the soul of a place settles into the bones of its people. They are not waiting for anything. They are practicing the art of being at home. One morning, a child playing at the forest's edge where the great miro tree stands comes running back, wide-eyed. The stone, the speaking stone, Hero and others follow. At the base of the miro, where Tupaia had placed the first offering of pearl and tapa, a flat, moss-covered stone has been partially exposed by recent rains. On its surface, previously hidden, are carvings. They are not the geometric patterns of the charred wood. These are different. A series of small, perfect spirals, like unfurling fern fronds. Next to them, a pattern of dots and a curve, like the constellation Matariki. And beside that, a simple, elegant outline of a double-hulled canoe. The shock is not that they are there, but that they are so familiar. The spiral is the symbol of growth and new life, used in their own weaving. The star pattern is their own guardian constellation. The canoe is their own story. Hina kneels, her fingers hovering over the spirals. "This is not from the whisper people in the cave," she says softly. "Their marks were hands, shouts of existence. These are thoughts, ideas, left by people like us. Voyagers who stopped here long before Havaki was full. They saw the same stars. They felt the same hope. They left this message not to claim the land, but to say, 'We understood. You will too.' They do not try to move the stone. They clear the moss gently, let the sun touch the carvings for the first time in centuries. They build a small, open shelter of poles and thatch over it to protect it from rain, but leave it open so the light can always find it. This message does not fade. It bridges time. It tells them they are not the first to listen to this island, nor will they be the last. They are a link in a chain of understanders. The stone becomes a place of quiet contemplation. To sit by it is to feel the presence of ancient kin, to share a silent conversation across the gulf of years about beauty, journeys, and the patterns of the stars that never change. It is the most comforting message of all. You are not alone in time. The season of stillness culminates in a night of magic so quiet most of the village almost sleeps through it. It is Hero, unable to sleep, who walks down to the lagoon. The water is black, the sky overcast. There is no moon, no stars. The world is a vault of velvet. He wades in. and as his feet disturb the sand, a soft blue-green light erupts around his ankles. With each step, a galaxy swirls at his feet. He crouches, cups water in his hands. It drips from his fingers in luminous pearls. He swims, and his body is trailed by a comet's tail of cold fire, phosphorescence. The lagoon is alive with billions of tiny, glowing creatures, stirred to brilliance by his movement. He does not call out. The magic is too fragile for noise. He simply swims in slow, wide circles, painting light on the black water, a silent, moving sculpture of blue flame. One by one, others sense the silence and come. Mona with little Ada, old Hina wrapped in a shawl. They slip into the water. Soon a dozen people are moving gently in the dark lagoon, each trailed by light, their wakes crossing and weaving a luminous, ephemeral tapestry. There is no sound but the soft splash of an arm, the gasp of delighted breath. They are stars swimming among stars. They are painting with their bodies on the liquid night. Eta laughs, a tiny sparkling sound, as she kicks and creates a shower of greenish sparks. Hina floats on her back, her white hair fanning out in the halo of light. For an hour they play in this silent, radiant dream. Then, as if by unspoken agreement, they grow still, floating together in a loose circle. The agitated light fades. The water around them returns to black. But in the center of their circle, where their collective movement had stirred the water most, a faint, pulsing glow remains for a few last minutes, a shared ember of light in the heart of the dark. They wade out in silence, their skin dusted with fading sparks. No one speaks of it the next day. It becomes a secret held in the skin, a memory of light that needs no words. The light in the water teaches them that the most profound beauty is often silent, shared, and transient. That their home, even in the deepest dark, can cradle them in unexpected radiance. It is a final gift of the stillness, a proof that magic is not in the distant stars alone, but here in their own lagoon, waiting for a quiet night and a gentle touch to set it ablaze. Generations are breaths. Tupaya's breath became Hero's. Hero's breath became Ata's. Ata's breath became the breath of her children, and theirs, and theirs, and theirs. The village on Tokeharu is not the same. The thatch has been replaced 100 times. The great ulu tree from the first planting is now a grandfather of the forest, its branches vast enough to shade 3 meeting houses. The carved message stone sits polished by countless hands, its spirals a part of daily life. New canoes have been built. Some, like Te Kakano, sailed east and never returned, their stories lost to the horizon. Others went north or west, and some of those returned, bearing new stories, new shells, new seeds. Tokeharu is no longer just an end point. It is a hub in the great slow wheel of Pacific voyaging, a place where songs are exchanged, where star paths are corrected, where the great whale song map in the sand is redrawn with each new piece of news. The people are not just from Hawaii anymore. They are the people of the many-named land. They are the menders of the blue bird, the listeners to the whale song, the keepers of the stone spirals. Hero is an ancestor now, buried beside Tupaya on the headland, a young miro tree at his feet. His scar is a story told to children. Ata is the old storyteller, her hair white as the tropic bird feathers she still keeps in a basket. Her stories have become the bedrock, but new ones are always being woven, in a tale of a voyage to an island of singing stones, a story of a great wave that brought a tree of red flowers. One evening, As the drum beats the sunset, Pete tells not a story of the past, but of the present. She points to a young boy struggling to learn a difficult knot for his fishing line. She points to two girls arguing over the last sweet berry, then sharing it. She points to the youngest navigator sitting on the headland, staring at a cloud on the horizon with a familiar, focused stillness. The song is not finished, she says, her voice a dry leaf rustle. The great voyage never ended. It just got bigger. Every child learning a knot is on a voyage. Every argument settled is a new land found. Every cloud watched is a new horizon sought. We are all still in the canoe. The ocean is just wider. It is the ocean of growing up, of living together, of remembering and forgetting. She looks around at the faces firelit, the faces of her great-grandchildren, of strangers from other islands who have married in, of the old and the new woven together. Our work, she whispers, was not to find a home and finish. Our work was to start a song so beautiful that those who came after would want to keep singing it, and maybe change the tune, and maybe add a verse about a berry, or a knot, or a new kind of cloud. She closes her eyes. The fire crackles. The drum beats once, softly. Boom, the heartbeat of the land. And now you who have listened across this vast ocean of time, your journey is complete. The rhythmic shush of the waves on Tokiharu's shore becomes the sound of your own breathing. The deep boom of the village drum becomes the quiet pulse within your chest. You have sailed from a melting glacier to a whispering grass sea. You have built circles of stone and towers of mud brick. You have navigated by stars and followed clouds that stood still. You have planted seeds, weathered storms, told stories, and sent new canoes into the blue. The great human experiment, the experiment of staying, of building, of wondering, continues. It continues in you, in your home, in your community, in your quiet acts of care and creation. The story has no end because it is your story now. You are the latest listener, the latest keeper of the fire, the latest to add a verse to the unfinished song. So let the vast, quiet history you have witnessed settle around you like a soft, heavy cloak. Let the anxieties of kings and the toil of builders fade. Let the peace of the island lagoon and the silence of the starry navigator fill you. You have come home from the longest journey, the journey into our deepest past. Now it is time to rest, to sleep, to dream, perhaps of grass seas or canoe voyages or a single perfect spiral carved in stone. The story is told. The song is in your hands. Sleep. Good night.